I've actually found myself on an estate lake that is very rarely fished. I've got a beautiful place to set up camp, and I've got a marvellous lake to fish. The lake itself, I've just had a walk round, and it's a marvellous environment for pike. It's just a maze of islands, sunken trees, lily beds. It's just perfect for pike. And today, what I'm going to look at is bank fishing. Now, this time of year, it's the sort of time when you can expect the pike to be very, very hungry. They've gone through the spawning period and they've lost a lot of body weight and they're very hungry. And they're going to be pretty ravenous. And with this in mind, I've brought a lot of bait with me. I've got a huge bag of dead baits here. And I doubt whether I shall get through that lot, but in the spring, it's always a good idea to have a lot of bait with you. The pike may not take the dead baits, I don't know. I may have to go off searching for them. And if this is the case, I've brought a vast amount of lures with me. I've got every type of lure you can imagine here. I've brought all my old favourites, all my battle-scarred favourites, lures that have caught lots and lots of pike for me. And I've brought one or two new ones to try as well. Now, normally I would suggest to you, don't bring this amount of tackle, just travel light. But I'm in such an idyllic situation today, I can park right next to the swim, and it's a good chance for me to lay all the tackle out and show you exactly what I have got. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is get some dead baits out. And I've had a quick look at the swim, and there's a tremendous sunken tree the other side of this bay here, and close in there's some deep water. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a ledgered bait across to the sunken tree, and close in I'm going to float fish a dead bait. Now, I've already got the dead bait rigged up on the ledger rig, and I'm going to start off with a smelt. And this is a tremendous smelt. Must weigh about 4 ounces. And there's nothing elaborate about the rig, it's just a simple running ledger rig, very straightforward. The smelt's mounted on 2 size 6 Partridge CS9 extra strong trebles. Now, I'm using extra strong trebles because there's a lot of snags in the water and I've really got to pull hard to keep the pike out of these snags, and I want a hook that won't let me down. 20-pound Berkeley wire, 12-pound big game line, and that sort of tackle should land anything, even in these snaggy conditions. And without further ado, I'll get this first bait out. Just grab a couple of rod rests and an alarm. I have to take it a bit careful on here, it's a bit slippery. Right. First thing I'll do is get my rod rests in. Not very easy here. Could have done with a rod pod really, but I didn't really know what to expect. Still would be okay. Just be careful I don't damage the daffodils too much. Oh, this ground's getting hard. Right. It's a fairly long cast, but I'm using a Shimano 2 3/4 pound test curve specimen rod, and that should be adequate for the job. I don't want to get too close to the sunken branches. And what I'm going to do now is just click in the bait runner, pull the line back tight, get the rod up on the rod rest, set the alarm, and I should put a bobbin on the line just as a bit of extra indication. And now wait for the pike to do the rest. Now, while that's fishing, I'm just going up the bank there to get the second rod ready. The next rod will be a float fish setup, which I'll just drop in the margin. I've had a quick look around, and I know there's a slightly deeper There's a slightly deeper area just in front there, so I'm going to get the bait in there. This is my second setup. Again, a very simple rig. I'm just going to float fish a big piece of mackerel. Just nick it on lightly, because I'm not going to cast it too far. Favourite bait of mine, just a simple piece of mackerel tail. Just going to fish it onto one of my homemade floats. Now, you might think that's a ridiculously large float, but in actual fact it's as light as a feather. And when you're casting them 60 or 70 yards, which I very often do, you need something that you can really see. And the pike just don't feel any resistance at all. It's only simple balsa wood. Now, this float fish setup, all I'm going to do is cast it a short way out. I had a quick plumb around earlier, and there's a clear patch out there. The weed's not too bad. I'm just going to let the float settle. Engage the bait runner. Now, I don't need a rod rest here. I've got a nice platform to put the rod down on. What I'm going to do is just slide the rod back until the float cocks, very slightly, like so. Right, I've cast the float out to where I want it to be, and now I'm just going to tighten down to cock the float very slightly, like so. I've engaged the bait runner on the reel, just in case a pike does go shooting off with the bait. Now, that is very sensitive. If a pike picks up the bait, if I slacken off the line, you can see the float has just popped up slightly. I'm just tweaking the line an inch or so, and it's a very, very sensitive float setup. So that's all set now. We've got the two baits out, two dead baits out. Now it's just a matter of waiting, see what happens. Oh. The float's just away on the float rod. I'm not going to give it too long, because this time of year they really wolf these baits down. That didn't take too long. Oh, it's going quite well, actually. Oh, not especially big fish, but gee, it's certainly a powerful fish. Oh, God, this beats winter pike fishing. So you wouldn't expect this sort of thing in the winter. That's not finished yet either, I don't think. Now, let's have a look out. Oh, certainly not ready to come in. Certainly making the old Shimano bend. I think I've got the better of it now. I'm just going to lean over and pick it out of the water. Actually, it's not too bad a fish. Yeah. Oh, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Oh, let's get it up onto the grass just in case I drop it, because it's going to be very lively this time of year. Well, I'm lucky I got to that in time. The bait's down a little way, not too far. I've got to be careful. It's one of those trebles is just nicking in the gill there. Oh, that's it. Oh, it's come out quite easy, actually. It was just wedged on the sharp teeth. I certainly like the old half mackerel. I wouldn't normally weigh a fish of this size, but just to show you how it's done, what I like to do is have the sling already wetted. These are pretty good scales, because what you can quickly do he's pressed the 0 button and it automatically zeroes the scales. So there's no having to worry about the weight of the sling afterwards. You might as well get yourself a decent sized sling, like this gold label sling sack. Expect the fish to be very, very lively in the spring. Right, the scales are already zeroed. So that, so that's 5.45 kilos. So for anyone who weighs in pounds and ounces, that's about 11.5 pounds. Keep it in the sling to get it back to the water. Yeah, it doesn't pay you to mess around for too long in the spring. Get the fish back in the water as quick as you can. Rather than lift the fish out of the sling, it's best just to drop the sling in the water. And let the fish slither out. Well, that one's soon ready to go. It's just gone under the platform for a sulk. Oh yeah, the float's hardly settled and it's away. Suddenly took that piece of mackerel straight away. Right, let's wind down. Cool, blimey, this is a powerful fish. Oh, another nice fish coming in here, I think. It feels better than the other one. Oh, it's a real arm maker, this one is. Got to be careful, it's trying to get round that way. And I know there's a big sunken tree in the water there. Oh, it's coming back now. Oh, this is absolute paradise. Pike fishing on a lovely spring morning. I'm going to make the most of this because it won't last long. Another few weeks and the weed will be up and it'll be impossible to fish. I'm bullying it a bit because I've got to keep it away from the sunken tree I can see down there. Oh, she's coming up now. Oh, it's a slightly bigger fish than that first one I had. Oh yeah. Cool, look at this. Oh, that's not a bad looking fish. Look at the mouth on that, wow. I've got to be careful now because the line's wrapped round the snout. Oh yeah, beauty. Got to take a bit of lifting. You beauty. Woohoo! Look at that. Come on, it was worth coming, eh? Let's get her up on that soft grass quick. I want to get her away from this platform quick. Look at the head on that one. And there's the bit of mackerel just neatly perched inside there. Now, they usually go crazy when you try and get the mackerel out. Oh, no, they're all right. Well, look at that, that's a real duck eater, that one is. Imagine what could disappear down there. Right, I'm going to weigh this one very quickly because it put up a hell of a fight. I'm just going to get it quickly into the sling. Beautiful fish. Slip the pike gently into the wet sling. Let's see what she weighs. Oh, gosh. Starting to thrash about a bit now. Yeah, 7.45 kilos. Let's get that back to the lake as quickly as we can. certainly a nice fight out of that one. It's always best to hold the fish as long as you can in the spring, because they put up hell of a fight. She's trying to go already, but I'm going to hang on for a bit longer. Oh, what a beautiful fish. I'm not going to let her go till she's really ready to go. But the old fins are working away already. Oh, there she goes. Every now and again I like to just reel in the dead bait rods, get off and do a little bit of mobile fishing. It's all very well catching on dead baits, but there's nothing like the excitement really of getting a fish on a surface lure. And this is the perfect morning for it. I think there must be pike in this area here. Oh, cool. First cast, something came after it. It was only a little pike, but God, it's got my heart going. God, my hands are shaking now with excitement. I won't cast directly onto it, I'll cast away from it and draw the lure back to that area again. Actually, I'm going to have my work cut out landing a fish in this swim. There's massive sunken lilies here. Just to my right, there's a big tree trunk under the water, so I've really got to hang on to a fish if I get one. It was just about there that fish came up for it. Makes a lovely sound, this jitterbug. Now, I'll cast across to this little sunken bush on the left here. Get right next to the branches. Just leave it for a few seconds, just to give the pike a chance to home in on the ripples. Just give it a little tweak. I'm sure something swirled nearby. There's something coming. Oh, Jesus. They're certainly after it. Well, that's not bad. Three casts and 2 takes. But this is typical surface lure fishing. You get a lot of takes, but you don't convert many of them to fish on the bank. But that doesn't trouble me too much. For me, the excitement is just seeing the attack. Something swirled behind it then. Oh, this is absolutely magic. This is the beauty of this sort of fishing. You just don't know what's going to take your lure next. You do tend to get a lot of very small pike on surface lures, but you can get some very big ones as well. Just give it a little bit of rod tip movement just to start it moving slowly. I always try and make it look like something that's perhaps fell into the water and it's struggling to swim out of the water. Yeah, very often with surface lure fishing you get the take on the first couple of casts. They're obviously not very interested this morning. They've only struck at the lure just out of instinct, really. If they'd have been really feeding, they would have made several attempts to grab the lure. Well, I've tried near to the snags. I'm going to make a cast into the open water now. No, it's obviously not working on the surface, but we know there's pike there, so the next thing to do is go subsurface, and what I shall probably do is try one of my favourite subsurface lures, a little minnow spoon. It's caught me so many fish, not just pike, it's caught so many chub and perch, trout, and I'm pretty confident I might get a take in this situation. I know there's pike there. I've seen the pike attacking on the surface. Let's get down a bit closer to them. I've got to be careful though, there's a lot of snags down there. Oh, I cast like a dream on this light outfit. I can just see it coming under the surface. I don't want to let it go too deep at this stage because of the snags. Oh, it's waggling away. The pike must see it. Of course, it's just as exciting when you get a pike hit at a subsurface lure. But it's not quite so visual as the actual surface lure itself. Well, this is definitely my last cast in this swim. I've spent enough time here. I've had a bit of response, but I don't think the pike are really going for it. It's only instinct that's making them just attack it, but they don't seem to really want it at the moment. So what I'm going to do is get across to another swim and try my luck there. Well, this looks a likely looking spot. It looks pretty shallow here, so I'm going to come in quite quietly. It's quite possible there's a pike under this scum in the margin, so I'm going to be really quiet. What I'm going to actually use in this corner is a buzzer. I'm going quietly in case there is a pike under this scum. Now, I can't see anything. There's a load of snags here, so I've got to be really, really careful. Actually, this bait works quite well even through the scum. Just have a check that nothing's followed it. I think if there's anything here, I'll get a response pretty quick. Shouldn't need too many casts. Try and get out under that tree. Now I'll try down this margin. A bit tricky to cast, but I'm getting where I want to get. Ah, something, oh yes. Whew, did you see that? Whew, he still wants it. In fact, it's down there, I can just see it. Oh, Jesus, oh, I'm up the tree now. Oh, this surface lure fishing, it's just so exciting. Here he comes. Oh, I got him. Oh, he's gone straight under that branch. Oh, well, I wasn't planning on this happening. Ow. Well, that's excitement for you. That's what I call a bit of excitement. The old hook comes out as simple as that. It's absolutely bent it to bits, but it was worth it for the excitement. Absolutely covered in little bits of scum and rubbish, but perfect little pike, absolutely covered in it. Look. Well, that was exciting. Really exciting. I can't wait to cast in again. Back you go. Find your way through that, lad. Oh, I've got to straighten my lure out a bit now. It's absolutely bent that to bits in the fight. I've got to bend these blades back out this way. Oh, I think he's back to the workshop for this one. I'm going to have another cast now, but this time with a jitterbug. A lot of people don't realise the importance of having a wide range of lures, different shapes, sizes and colours. And really, you can see the importance when you make a change and you can suddenly get a take, and you may not understand why you got the take. It might be the different colour, action, but whatever, a different lure can provoke a strike when you're not catching. It's important to have a lot of different casting weights as well. For example, that buzzbait that I was using I couldn't cast it too far in these restricted circumstances, but I've now changed to a jitterbug and I can get a lot further out with it. And I'm going to be covering fish that the buzzbait wouldn't cover. Right, it's very difficult to cast from here, but I just reached that lily bed out there. There must be some pike. Oh, Jesus. Every time they take me by surprise. I was just about to say there must be some pike in there, just lying up after the morning feed. Oh, it's such an exciting way of fishing. I must have landed that right on its nose, and I'm going to try and do the same again. Try and drop it right in the same spot. Oh, perfect. Right, I'm just going to let it settle this time. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, it's come off again. This is the frustration of surface lure fishing, but by God, it's good fun. Well, that fish really went in as though it meant it. It didn't seem to be messing around. It really wanted to take that. Will it do it a third time? Back in the same spot. Just let it settle. Just give it a tweak. The pike must be looking round for it. It knows there's something there. Yes, it's took it this time. Oh, yes. Third time lucky. Oh, I've got to just knock the fighting drag on in case it bolts away. Just check it. It's come off. It's not my morning. Try again. It's probably going to sulk now. In fact, I'm sulking myself through losing the perishing thing. It may come back, but there could be several pike out there. There's no telling, really. Right, I'll try and cast to a different position now. So restricted here. Oh, God. Straight up the tree. Not my favourite jitterbug, please. Not my jitterbug. Oh, got it back. I thought I was going to have to do a little climb then to get that back. I couldn't lose my jitterbug. Well, one last cast, and as much as I'd like to stay here, I'm going to move on to another swim. Oh, right in the middle that time. That's about where it was lying. Just trying to shake it through those pans. Right, I'm out of the lily bed. Just in the open water now, where that pike struck last time. No, it doesn't look like I'm going to tempt him this time. Now, I can always come back to this one. As long as you know where there is a fish lying, it's always worth coming back, give it an hour's rest. So for now, I'm going to try another swim. Just let the water settle, just check nothing's followed in. No, there's nothing down there. I'll get one round to the left now. Just let it set on the surface for a bit. A lot of people may be wondering why I've missed so many takes on these surface lures, but it is a fact that everybody misses takes on surface lures. It's just one of those things, especially when the fish are on the small side. The bigger fish seem to nail the lures a lot better. But I think what actually happens is that when a pike feeds on the surface, its vision gets a little bit confused and it very often misses. And I've actually seen pike trying to take surface lures, and sometimes they're missing by a mile. They're grabbing, and you can actually see they're snapping at it 6 inches away. But of course, we don't actually know what happens under the surface. Pike may not be as efficient as we think under the surface either. Oh, there's just so many swims to fish, and I've taken quite a fancy to this one. I've had a quick look around, and this appears to be one of the deepest parts of the lake. And with the sun quite high now, I think there's a lot of shade behind that island there, and the pike may have moved into the deep water. So I'm just going to flick a spinnerbait into the deep hole there. Just let it sink down, just bring it back gently. A lot of people have trouble casting single-handed, but once you start lure fishing, you soon get used to it. Really, it's a matter of confidence. And as the line's slowing down, just feather it with your finger, just to stop it tangling on the spool. I'm going to have one more cast, try and get a bit further around the corner. Oh, lovely. If that doesn't work, I'm going to get back and do a bit more dead baiting. Oh, something's just picked up my half herring. I'd only just lost a fish in that swim, but obviously something's not been spooked. Oh, there's such a problem with lily pads here. I've got it this time. Really got to bully it out of that swim. Oh, the bait's only just lightly hooked onto this. I've got to bully it though, because there's so many bloody snags down there. Oh, I'm just hoping it doesn't go over this other line here. Oh dear. I'm gonna have to climb over this rod. Right. I'm just trying to see where the hook is. Oh, the hook's on the outside. I don't really want to get it in the landing net, because it's going to be a bit of a tangle. Ooh. Certainly plenty of give and plenty of power in these rods to control a fish in this sort of situation. I'm going to have to risk getting my feet wet here. Yeah, the last thing I want was that flying hook caught up in the net. Oh, if I can just get a good grip on the fish. Oh, I've got it. Actually, it's not too bad here, unless I slip. Quick turn and the hook's out. There's the bait, that's half herring. Good old faithful. Another lovely fish. I won't bother messing the fish about weighing it and get it straight back. Oh, I love to look at them. Beautiful colours. Actually, this one's got a really fat belly. It's obviously been having a good feed sometime. Let's get it back safely. Oh. It's going off to sulk now. Straight to the bottom to sulk. Well, there's a stroke of luck. I've got my bait back. Good old faithful half herring. It's caught so many big pike. Herring's probably one of my favourite baits. I've caught 4 different 30-pounders on the herring, so it's got to be a particular favourite of mine. I'm only using half a herring today because I want to strike instantly. Just see what it looks like on the bottom. We may be able to get a look at it down there. That's how the pike sees it, just resting on the silkweed on the bottom there. Of course, the good trick is to twitch it now and again, and that very often tempts something to take it. Just twitch it and bring it up mid-water, and then just allow it to sink slowly. Surprising how many times that little twitch of the bait, even a dead bait, how much it provokes a strike. Anyway, we've obviously found a good swim, and the sensible thing to do is get the bait back into the swim. I like fishing this way. It's so easy really, fishing at close range with a float. If you don't see the float go, I'll just set the GF4, flick the bait runner on the reel, and even if I'm not looking, I'll hear the bait runner go and the alarm go. So I'm just going to sit down and relax in this sunshine for a bit longer. Oh, it doesn't feel a very big one. Oh, I've got to keep it out of these lily pads. Oh, it's not that little, but it's not a big one either. Actually, the bank's a bit tricky here. I'm going to have to use the landing net. I'm going to slip in if I try lifting it out. Oh, wasn't bad. First cast into the swim. Oh, let's get it up onto the soft grass. It's only a little fish, and I netted it simply to stop myself from falling in the water because it's a bit slippery there, but I think you're going to see here why I don't like to actually use the landing net. First of all, it means putting the fish down and it's difficult to grab it. But secondly, the hook gets all caught up in the net, as you can see there. But luckily in this instance, the pike wriggled about and the hooks came out, but you can get into some terrible tangles. Anyway, only a small one, but we'll get her back in. Well, I mentioned earlier I'd got a few new lures to try out, and amongst them were some musky lures. These actually made by Smitty, and they're a surface lure, and they've got this incredibly enticing waggling blade at the back end. And I've only actually had one cast with this lure, and the very first cast, in blazing hot conditions when I didn't really expect to take, I've had this chap come up and grab it. So, well, if you ask me, it's a pretty good lure, and I'm certainly going to be using it again. So I'm going to put this pike back and I'm going to go and have another cast with it. Oh, I always thought years ago that big lures only caught big fish, but to be honest, the pike being what it is, any size pike will take any size lure. So don't be afraid to change your lure size at any time. Let's get this one back. Always be prepared for that. Well, I'm just working a creek chub pikey back now. It's quite a favourite lure of mine. I've just seen a fish swirl around that corner there. Yes, I've got it. I just saw that pike swirl actually. Oh yeah. It's a favourite little lure of mine. Oh, it's coming towards us. Gee. I'm going to get in the boat to get to this one. Oh, lovely. I'm going to have to be careful lifting this because, as ever, I'm likely to get a treble in my wrist. No, it's a bit of a tricky one, this. And I'll get a good positive grip so it can't flick. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get the trebles out, but I'm trying to get them away from my wrist as well, because I've seen so many nasty accidents, and if you do it methodically and firmly, it's not too difficult at all. So, another beautiful spring pike. I'm certainly getting lots of small ones today. But the sun's high, it's around midday, and they're still feeding, so let's get that lure back out there again. Well, I didn't actually want to get into the boat, I didn't want to disturb the water, but now I've got this far, I may as well take advantage of being in this position so I can cast round the corner. I haven't actually managed to cast round there yet today. These really are good, these little creek chubs. Get them in all sorts of colours. This one's a fairly recently introduced colour. I think it's actually known as fire tiger, this colour. Quite a popular colour nowadays with a lot of lures, and very, very effective. Well, nothing that side. I'm going to try the other side now. I can just make out the outline of quite a big tree line under the water there. In fact, it goes out probably 3 rod lengths, so I'm going to just fish the lure very shallow over the top of it. I'm not going to risk getting down too close to it. But anyway, where you see a sunken tree in the water, it's always a good place to cast. But you've got to remember that as soon as you hook a pike near a sunken tree, the first thing it'll do is try and get back inside it. Looks a bit like a little pike coming in. All those little fish seem to find it interesting. There's an incredible number of fish under the boat here. There's rudd, roach, perch, there's a bit of everything down there. There's thousands of them. And when you do a lot of plug fishing or any pike fishing, you're bound to get a few cuts. So what you want to carry with you, very simple really, just a couple of plasters and some antiseptic cream. You don't need much more than that, perhaps a few tissues. Just clean the cut up. It's not too bad actually, I've had a lot worse. But you don't want to get too many cuts and get too many germs into them. Just a quick smear with antiseptic cream. Got the plasters already cut to size. Make sure your hand's nice and dry. It's important to get the right sort of plasters, something that's going to stick to your hands when your hands are a bit damp and a bit wet. And just rub the antiseptic cream into all the nasty parts. Kill any waterborne germs. And just cover it over. Well, I really have had a wonderful morning's fishing. Caught lots and lots of pike on dead baits, on wobbled baits, on lures. And now the sun's so high and it's so hot, I just find it difficult to concentrate any longer. I've got about an hour left before I nip off for some dinner. So what I'm going to do to spend the last hour is just wander around a different part of the lake, somewhere I've not tried yet. And I want to have another go with this big smitty surface bait. I'd like to try and catch another fish on that. And I'm going to take another rod with me for wobbling a dead bait. Just show you a technique that is very useful if you can't afford to pay £7 or £8 for big lures like this. Simple thing to do really is just to take some polystyrene, like so. Get your forceps, snip off a piece of the polystyrene, stick it down inside the bait, like so. And now that bait will float and you've got yourself a surface bait. And then all you need to do to rig it is just tie a trace, a 2-hook trace, straight onto your main line. Just hook the fish through the lips, like so. Insert the other hook in the flank, and that will float on the surface and it will be just as effective as an expensive surface lure. Now, it's not a good idea to leave a bait floating around with polystyrene in it, so what I do, I carry some kitchen string with me, and all I do, I just get a little bit off, snip it off, and you don't need to make a really fancy job of it. Just tie the bait very tightly onto the trace. As I say, it doesn't have to be elaborate at all. Snip it off. And there you are, already rigged for surface wobbled dead bait. Now the beauty of using a dead bait instead of a lure is that when the pike grabs the fish, you don't strike immediately as you would with a lure, but you allow the pike to run with the bait and just adjust the grip of the bait in its jaw, and then you can strike. And whereas you may miss a lot of takes on surface lures, you miss very, very few when you actually wobble a dead fish across the surface. So that's enough talking about it. Let's get down to doing a bit of fishing. Let's try surface wobbled dead bait, and we'll try this big Smitty surface lure again. You may have noticed during the film I've been changing lures very quickly, like so. And that's done using a very simple clip. Now, it is important that you get a good quality clip. Some of the ones on the market just aren't up to the job. And probably the best ones are the Berkeley Crosslock and the Lindy Snaplinks. They're very, very high quality. And you can see how quick it is just to clip another plug on like so, and it's locked straight away and you're ready to cast. Right, I've tried straight out and I've tried to the left. I'm trying as best I can to get to the right. It's very difficult with the way the trees are. I'm going to have to make an underarm cast, I think. No, not quite where I wanted to go, but I'll make the most of it anyway. Perhaps just one more cast. The trouble, you're always tempted to make one more cast. Actually, the conditions are changing slightly. Just because I'm planning to go home, there's a nice ripple coming on the water now. And it's more to my liking now. Oh, that really does look good coming across there. I think if I was restricted to doing just one type of fishing for the rest of my life, it would have to be surface lure fishing. It's absolutely heart-stopping when they grab them. Well, I'm going to have to be very strict with myself and stop fishing, because I will be here all day if I'm not careful. And I'll finish off by showing you a surface wobbled deadbait technique. I mean, that bait's working beautifully in the clear water. So you can make it do whatever you like, really. I mean, without a doubt the pike can see it. It's just a matter of whether they're feeding at the moment. Oh, there's one coming up behind it now. Is it going to take it? Oh, it's only a small one, but there's one right behind it. I daren't move a muscle because I'm just going to let him turn naturally. I don't want to frighten him. Oh, he's interested, but I'll let him turn away before I make another cast. Oh, yes. It's so easy to frighten him. Oh, rather than frighten him, he's coming towards it. Wonder how close I can make him come. Oh, there's a bloody train going past. Oh, bloody train just went past and spooked the pike. I'll make another cast. He's obviously interested. I'll perhaps not work the bait so violently this time. Give him more chance to catch up with it. Just going to leave it there for a while. Yeah, I can actually see the pike about a yard behind it. Got a little white patch on its nose. I'm going to keep absolutely motionless as it approaches. No, obviously at this time of the day it's going to take a bit of tempting.